Welcome to Wild, Women in Lending Determined to Make an Impact. I'm your host, Robin Lavasser. They say our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to Wild. It is my first guest, and that sounds pretty fun to me. Todd happens to be here, and you guys have all heard my story if you've listened to the first few episodes and the journey for me in mortgage. And the most pivotal moment in the mortgage industry for me was when I joined Summit Funding. I didn't realize it was going to be that pivotal moment until I really started getting coached by you, Todd. And, I talk really freely about you and I's relationship and our friendship that we've created. But really, initially, it was, I'd never, they say levels of success. You hear a lot in business in general. You outgrow friends, if you will. You outgrow mentors. Maybe you outgrow environments. I didn't realize that I was stuck because who was mentoring me, right? Who I was around, really not having mentorship in general. When I met you and you started coaching me, it was like a million light bulbs going off in my head of possibility. You obviously 30 years plus coach, business owner, all the lives you've impacted. I give so much to opening up, you forcing, just get all the cards on the table, right? Like get your whole life sitting here. And then you being able to say, do this, do that. You've done it for countless people, but you did it for me. I don't know if you remember, like we always joke about your memory. Like, do you remember all of it?
No. People make fun of me and my memory, but so my overview is this. So we met and I came into town and we ended up having dinner with a couple other people. You ended up joining Summit. And then I was coaching in the core at the time. And I was like, hey, why don't we have, an internal group? And so you were like, yeah. And so we started coaching. And you're doing 3, 4, 5 loans a month. And then you were doing 8 or 9. And then you were doing 10, 15. Then you were doing 20. Then you're doing 30. Then some months you had 40s. And I'm like, and obviously there was a time frame to that. But to me, what happened, and this was the beautiful part, as a mentor or as a coach, you don't see this. You see it. And it's like this, you had this light bulb moment where you are like, everything changed, not overnight, but the curiosity, oh my God, I could really double, triple, quadruple. And you started believing it. You started doing it. And it never stopped. And one of the things that we were just chatting about before we started recording was we're at a point now to where, yes, there's a lot of friendship. Yes, you're an executive in the company, but you've been a big mentor for me. Like some of the skills that you've developed over the years have really impacted my life. And that's really cool. And I don't know, I think some of that naturally happens when you have a superstar student that they just do surpass you in a lot of areas. And you've done that as well. So it's like this is just one example, but I came up here, Robin's branch was hosting what called Site Visit Day. And, a bunch of clients in here from Summit Funding. And we're having barbecues at your house. I'm staying at your house along with about 20 others. We have people in campers. We're playing cornhole every night. And when I get there, Summit just did our 30th birthday as a company. And she says, this is your gift. And on the table was a beautiful card. But then inside this gift box was a book that her and I'm sure Shelly, thank you, Shelly, had a lot to do with this. And they created pictures of the last 30 years of Summit. And then I don't know how many letters, I can't read the letters yet till I get home and cry on my own, of, employees that sent in letters of gratitude in their journey. And like, that's something that really touched me. And I told Robin, I said, I'll have that on my living room table the rest of my life. You're so good at that stuff, like making people so cared for, where I'm like, hey, good job, and I'm learning, that's an example. Your ability to reach people at all kinds of different levels. And you said something, you taught me something at the last 10X Summit we had. And you said, I took your breakout class about signature stories. And you're like, hey, people, if you want someone to move, you have to move them emotionally first. That's the proper sequence. Like those are just a couple examples of things that I'm gleaning from you that I'm really working hard to mimic and replicate.
Actually, You know, what's funny is as you're sitting here telling the story and then talking about me, where really I was like, hey, I'm going to showcase Todd on this because I think you're so incredible. And here's what's funny is when Todd started coaching me, you know, I'm this early 30s, disheveled but personable, right? Like I talked about, John, I's finances were a mess. You know, I have a very full plate as a mom. I'm a pretty good originator, if you will, but really I didn't realize that I talk a lot about it, lacking in sales skills. And one by one, like I remember pivotal assignments that you gave me. And I think, and the reason that I tell this, you guys, is that I think that sometimes people want to skip to the good parts and they forget about the journey.
Yeah, the hard part,
Mm-hmm.
the drudgery, the I don't want to do it
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Yes.
That your boss asking to see your real finances, right? And then telling you exactly which credit cards to pay off first, right? Exactly how to get out of debt, exactly how to start building wealth. Now, you've done that for thousands at this point, thousands of people you've been a coach for. What's the difference? Because I think one of the things that I'd love to give tactic wise to you in, like, I always tell people, I'm not special. Like, I'm not, people want to tell me I'm special at this point. I don't say that. I use their words, not mine. I'm like, I'm not special. I just had a really good coach and mentor that started with you. And then I became addicted to that curiosity and that growth. What do you think the difference makers are? Like, what are some of the things that you see that you're like, that one's going to get it? And maybe you didn't think that about me.
No,
I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know who's going to get it and how fast they're going to learn. What I think, and this may not be very different than what someone might think, but the difference is they believe that they can. And I mean, just so many stories running through my head, but if I say, who wants to win the lottery? Everyone's like, me. How many people want to learn to make 500,000 a year? And there's two kinds of people. The first one says, like, all this happens in 1 second subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
My dad never made that kind of money. My uncle never made that kind of money. I didn't go to college. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the second kind of person, and this is you, how you became.
Yes.
Which was, man, you know what? If Todd says I can do it, I probably can. There's someone else on a coaching call. They closed 12 loans this month. I could do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we start thinking of possibility. And I think that's why you're so into curiosity. That's a belief system that you've carried forward. And that may sound super simple. And then the next question is, well, how do people develop that? And my short answer is dream.
Mm.
That's my short answer. Like, so to give you an example, I was talking to Adrian's 18-year-old son,
Mm-hmm.
and we just got back from Europe, and we're having dinner. We're having dinner every night. And I said, Seb, what do you really want to do? And he tells me what he want to do with his career, right? He's in that 18-year-old brain. And he tells me, and I look right at him, and I said, do you really believe you could do that?
Mm-hmm.
And he pauses. I said, stop the pause. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, you're not convicted. I said, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Your dream on what you want to do for your career, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we got to read some books. We got to listen to some podcasts. Maybe we get a coach, right? You can do it. And that's that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. And you want to bottle it up and put it in a pill.
What's so important about that, Todd, is you talk about, you know, that I always say you're healing your past, right? Or you're honoring your past, one of the two. And I think I was doing a little bit of both, but the truth was I had dropped out of college. I'd gotten into mortgage as a temporary receptionist. I was already farther along than I ever thought I would be. And I was making a little over $100,000 a year, which is a lot of money. And I'll never trivialize it and never not be grateful for it. But at $100,000 a year, I had thought, that's as good as it's going to get for an uneducated small town girl who moved up here, who's momming and wifing and doing all of these things. And you are exactly right. I had stopped dreaming and I was just working. And when you stop dreaming and you know, it didn't hit me till now. Like, it almost chokes me up. Like, I could cry thinking about you taught me how to dream again. You showed me a whole nother level of the game that could be played, and then said, you have the keys as well. Like, we all hold the keys to it, right? Like, it's just a choice. You just, like, are you willing to use them, you know? And there's a path in it. And I think that I had to get a lot of things out of the way. I remember you telling me, Robin, the day that you have 3 months reserves in the bank that you have no reason to touch, your life will change. Mm-hmm. And I'm not money driven. You know, I'm not. That's not my value system. And I thought, there's no way that just that simple tactic, but everything that Todd told me to do, one, I think one of the things that happens a lot is people mentor people and then they don't actually do what the mentor says. That's weird to me. It's a weird concept. I think I'm a little bit, I wasn't a goody goody in high school this way, but I think I learned it, a little bit
Yeah.
older. So when you tell me to do something, I did it, right? Like I really actually did what you told me to do. I still to this day, for the most part, right? Like I do
Yeah.
what you tell me to do, but you took it in steps. You helped me eat the elephant one bite at a time. I find sometimes people have this huge dream and then no plan
No
or
steps.
guidance to get there.
Yeah, and I think yes. I also think one of the mindsets that helps with all that, and I'd love your spin on this, but like I was so I'm a high D personality, so I'm
Mhm,
so attached to the outcome,
mhm,
and I really have done a better job later in life. Sometimes I'll just be like, I'm just going to do this. I know there's going to be failure, and I'm not going to judge myself on my failure as long as I'm falling forward and learning.
mm,
And I'm not even doing it for the money. I'm doing it because it's interest. It will help people. It will make a difference, and I'm okay with however it comes out. And that sounds really like poofy and airy, but it's kind of a cross between Americanism, capitalism, and Buddhism. Like
mm,
it's a different mindset, but for me, it helps me to continue to experiment and try new things and get out of my comfort zone, treating it more like a game than being so concerned about, well, what if I don't get to 10 loans a month, right? Robin and I have this vision that we could get our average loan officer to 10
mhm,
loans a month, right? And people are like, why do you say that? I'm like, because it's too hard to be 100% commission and not make 40, 50 grand a month. Like,
mhm,
it's like I could work at a state job or I could be a firefighter and I could make 100 grand a year and I could not work 60 hours a week and not
mhm,
have the pressure. But if we start thinking about it differently, that's when the seas start to part.
mm,
And that's how I think about it. And I'm not sure if that describes it well, but I just, you and I both just, we want people to know that they're empowered, that they're
mhm,
living a life that we control, and we can paint that picture however we want to paint it.
mhm.
And that's I want to give people the freedom to do that, and I know that's a big mission of yours. Like I want people to know that they can do what they want in life. We just got to take some risks, and they've got to be reasonable risks, but we don't go jump off the cliff. But and then there's got to be a simple 3 point, 5 point
Mhm.
plan on what are those steps, and that's
Yeah.
what you're talking
Mhm.
about to get there.
Yeah, yeah. It's some of my, I'll give you guys some of my takeaways. Like I think about the small steps with Todd in general as a mentor. One was I knew I had to get my financial health in order because that piece of the wheel of life, if you will, is so critical to all other things, right? Getting out of scarcity mindset in all areas. I had to create enough leads to get out of scarcity mindset about my business. Scarcity mindset is, oh my gosh, that one person shot me. I lost one loan today. Oh my gosh, that one contract fell out, right? Like all of those things. So you taught me in each category of my life to get out of scarcity mindset and work my way. Work my way. It wasn't just a switch here, it was the work being done, right? The infrastructure to all of a sudden be in abundance is a huge one. For you, everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
Everything is right. I remember when you said, I don't want to sound callous to the company, you said, but the truth is, struggling is a choice. Now that can be very offensive to people, right? They take it and go, that it's not my choice that I have
You
this
don't
or that
know my
I,
life.
yes, yes,
You don't know how I grew up.
exactly. I was born into this, I didn't have this. And yet you're like, hey, you want to lose weight. There's gyms, there's online groups, there's podcasts, there's chats, there's healthy food there's all these things. It's a choice. Drinking, right? Like it's everything we do is a choice. And I think your combination, Todd, of have a plan, and this is what I'll leave you guys with these couple things and then Todd wrap in anything you want. One, I hope that you know forever how grateful I am for you. I say that all the time. I know gifts are not your love language,
That
but
gift was the
it's
book.
but for me, it's, when you're, all of us just want to make an impact, right? What else does our headstone say? The reason it says things like wife and mother is because that's probably where people feel like they made the biggest impact. But you're a thought leader, you're a business leader, you're a coach that like changes people's lives. I look at the things, like I said, tactical, everything's figure outable. Don't catastrophize, get away from words like always and never. Really, really, a good business is a boring business, right? But it's just a game. It's not life or death, right? Like I think about all these little things. I could probably write a 3-page story about all the little nuances that I take from many mentors, but those are specific to Todd that changed my life. So what I would say to you is that who is mentoring you? Are they qualified? do they dream big enough? And more importantly, do they help you dream big enough, right? Like, do they believe in you? Because I think that's one of the things that you do so well. And I'm so grateful for what it did to my life. And I look at so many people I think like you do, and it's like, you just need to, right? You need to surrender to a mentor, put the work in, put your head down, don't get fixated on the result, right? Like fall in love with the process and the journey, and dream bigger, right? Like that's my summary of what Todd has taught me to do and all the things that it's done in my life that I know for a fact are applicable into yours. What's yours?
Well, I love that. Thank you. It just makes me, to me, it makes the world a cool place when we're all trying to help each other and we are like we're genuinely concerned about each other and how we're doing. I know for you've been able to go through all this journey and then pay it forward and touch so many lives. I was not to bring the mood down, but my mom is dying of cancer, and she is now at a stage in hospice they call death, and that means she's got about 2 months. And so I was seeing her a few weeks ago, and I just looked at her, and we had this moment, and I said, "Mom, you did it." Sorry. And she said, "I did what?" My mom's very practical. I said, "Well, you raised 4 great kids, and everyone's happy. And everyone's doing, our lives aren't perfect, but I think that was one of your life missions. That and being a nurse and being a great wife, and you did all those things. And my point is we're not here that long,
Correct.
and I want it to count.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be change the world.
Mm-hmm.
It can be just, man, I'm a really good mom, and I helped a lot of people get into homes in my career. It doesn't have to be life changing, but to have deep gratitude for that is something that you've really helped me with. I used to be kind of too big of a thinker, and may sound counterintuitive, but now I just get deep enjoyment on doing, I guess, not smaller things, but I have more gratitude, and you emulate that so well every single day. There might have been 2 times in 5 years I've called you and you're like, "I'm just off. I'm just kind of down," right? I do that to you more than you do it to me. And to have, 2, 3, 4, 5 mentors over the course of your life where you can really give back to each other, to me, that's a blessing. It's such a blessing. And that's what you've done for me. And it's so fun to collaborate with you and work on all these things, even though we argue and fight a lot,
Yes,
right?
we do.
In a healthy way, but I've never cussed at you. I've
Yeah.
never, even really been mad more than 10 minutes with you.
Yeah.
Because we're just so solutions oriented together.
Yes.
And I love that relationship. It's a shining light in my life.
Same. Well, it's fitting that the first guest that I feel like probably is the only reason Wild exists is my best first big mentor, probably the one that I'll have forever and ever. He's an icon in our family for sure. So if you don't have one, find one. Hey, Todd and I are working on a lot of different things. One of the things is a project that has been a labor of love for Todd to develop. How do we get loan officers more appointments, more leads? We love to see people, again, play bigger, right? Connect. And you are so good at the sales formula. Todd wants our loan officers to average that 10 loans a month because he knows what it'll do to their life, to their business, to their future, to the family of, the pay it forward version, the community, to the industry in general, right? You think you raise the bar in the entire industry when you can have a company where loan officers are averaging 10.
Yeah, obviously a whole nother subject, but I'm very excited about that. I think what we're doing is industry changing, and I've now proved it for 2 years, and I'm super excited about that. So more to come, maybe another podcast.
Yes.
But that is, I'm so excited. I can't tell you. I feel like we've taken our collective 30 plus years of working on all this stuff in sales and bottled up into something that can really help. That producer, is doing 3, 4, 5 loans a month and really, really over the course of time wants to get to 10 or 15. And so it wakes me up every day. I'm so excited, but we just had a meeting on it. So I'm like shaking.
You're like
about
even
the
more
meeting.
excited. I love it.